that in 50 years, 25% of Miami will be underwater. And this is true for coastal communities all over our country and, in fact, all over the world.
All right, everyone, we're going to take you out now live to Osaka, Japan, where they are about to begin a women's empowerment event at the G20 summit. Again, we are taking you out live to Osaka, Japan.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and we are delighted to start the leaders special event on women's empowerment. At the outset, representatives from international organizations and stakeholders are going to hand over their respective executive summary of reports or recommendations on women's empowerment and gender equality to Prime Minister Abe, G20 presidency for 2019. Representatives, those who are submitting their reports, please come closer to the stage following the guide of staff. First, Mr. Guia, Secretary General of OECD, and Mr. Ryder, Director General of ILO, are going to hand over the reports titled Women at Work in G20 Countries, Progress and Policy Action. Thank you very much. And next, Ms. Lagarde, Managing Director of IMF, is going to hand over the report on women's economic empowerment and IMF. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, next, Mr. Nakao, President of ADB, and Ms. Karda, ADB Program Coordinator working in Sri Lanka, are going to hand over the report on the implementation of We5 project titled Promoting Women's Entrepreneurship in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much. Now, Ms. Mlamba Nukuka, Executive Director of UN Women, hands over their key policy recommendation on gender equality and women's empowerment. Thank you very much. Mr. Malpass, President of the World Bank Group, hand over the report about activities of We5, for which the World Bank plays a key role as its secretariat. Thank you very much. Ms. Koch-Melan, President and Founder of the Women Political Leaders, Ms. Tsuchiya, Leader of the Delegation of the WPO Summit 2019, and Ms. Kamikawa, WPO Ambassador of Japan, are going to hand over their outcome declaration issued at the WPO Summit 2019, just held in Tokyo from June 25th and 27th. Thank you very much. And lastly, Ms. Meguro and Ms. Yoshida, co-chair of W20 Japan Steering Committee, are going to hand over the prioritized outline of WTO communique. Thank you very much. Now Prime Minister Abe will make remarks. He will speak in Japanese, so those who need simultaneous translation, please wear the receiver for the simultaneous translation. Prime Minister, please.
Okay. 各国の首脳の皆様、マキシマ・オランダ王妃およびイバンカ・トランプ、米国大統領補佐官、国際機関、そして代表の皆様、そしてご列席の皆様、本日ここに重要な政策課題である女性のエンパワーメントに関して皆様と集まることができ、大変嬉しく思います。国際機関、組織の皆様には G20 に対するさまざまな貢献に改めて感謝申し上げます。G20 議長として女性のエンパワーメントの前進に取り組んできました。皆様の協力を得て、主として3点報告できることを嬉しく思います。第一に、女性の労働参画について25 by 25目標の達成に向け、各国の状況を首脳レベルでフォローアップする仕組みを作ります。日本が良い進捗を示していることを嬉しく思います。第2に、女子教育支援について、すべての女子が少なくとも12年間の質の高い教育にアクセスできる世界を目指します。これは 私がノーベル平和賞受賞者のマララさんと約束したことでもあります。日本としてまず2020年までの3年間で少なくとも400万人の途上国の女性たちに質の高い教育、人材育成の機会を提供し、安心安全な学びの環境の整備に力を尽くしていきます。第3に、女性起業家支援の継続やビジネスリーダーの声を民間の取り組みや G20 の理論に適切に反映することも重要です。イバンカ補佐官の協力のもと、メルケル首相の議長下で立ち上げられた女性起業家資金イニシアチブの順調な実施を歓迎します。また、提案者トルドー首相をはじめ各国と協力し、女性ビジネス関係者の自律的なネットワークであるエンパワーの立ち上げを支援していきます。さらに、牧島国連特使が W20 の活動を側面支援することになったことを歓迎します。さまざまな発展段階にある G20 の国々が一致して女性のエンパワーメントの取り組みを進めていくことが G20 全体のさらなる発展の大きな推進力となると確信しています。来年も7月3日、4日に国際女性会議を開催します。ぜひ皆様に来ていただければ幸いでございます。数値ともに皆さん進んでまいりましょう。ありがとうございました。Thank you very much,
Prime Minister. Now, UN Secretary General's Special Advocate for Inclusive Finance for Development, Her Majesty Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, will make remarks. Her Majesty, please.
Mr. Abe, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is really exciting to be with you at this important event. In my 10 years as UN Special Advocate for the Secretary General for Inclusive Finance for Development, the economic empowerment of women has been at the heart of my work. It has also been an important topic in my role as the honorary patron of the G20 Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion. All of us have an extraordinary opportunity to unleash the economic potential of women. If women had an identical role in labour markets as men, up to $28 trillion would be added to the global GDP by 2025. Needless to say, what would it mean for families, education of children, and their overall well-being if women are economically empowered? Today, I would like to highlight 3 essential actions that we can take to make this a reality. First, we must bridge the digital divide if we want to enable the women to embrace all the opportunities that have been offered by the 4th Industrial Revolution. In low and middle-income countries, women are behind men by 26% in mobile internet usage. This, while the most promising modern solutions for economic empowerment, such as mobile banking, rely upon technology and digitization. Second, we must remove legal and regulatory barriers that obstruct women's financial inclusion and economic empowerment. For example, in low-income countries, women have 33% less chance than men to have an ID. And more than 1/3 of countries around the world constrain freedom of movement for women. These hurdles, among others, contribute to a staggering 7% gap in global account ownership between men and women. It is really necessary to close this gap for women to be economically empowered. And thirdly, we must make sure that women also enjoy access to public goods. These basic foundations and services are key for women to join the formal digital financial and economic system. They include connectivity, cybersecurity, digital ID, financial literacy, digital literacy, and data privacy. To make progress in these 3 areas, we need to collect robust data. Thanks to the World Bank FinTech database and the IMF Financial Access Survey, we have made progress in collecting data on financial inclusion. But in many countries, there are still information gaps, such as the proportion of women clients at financial institutions, or the types of products and services that reach women. Therefore, we need to redouble our efforts to collect more granular data to make evidence-based decisions and to measure our progress. For example, in Mexico, disaggregated data revealed a substantial gap in retirement savings for women. Therefore, Mexican authorities use this data to develop retirement savings programs specifically for women, which now aims to reach 2.4 million women. A very good example of what you can do with data. But more good data is a first necessary step. We also need to do further research on what really works to actually reach and empower the women. In this context, we can leverage all the great work of the G20 engagement group. However, substantial progress can only be made by carrying out this work year-round and continuously building upon the endeavors of the previous years. With that in mind, I'm very pleased to introduce the G20 Acceleration Platform for Women's Economic Empowerment. This platform will boost our capacity to collect data, conduct research on public goods, and develop recommendations for policies that release the economic power for women. It will bring continuity and strength to the work of the G20. And it will, above all, focus on implementing recommendations on financial inclusion, digital inclusion, and labor inclusion in different countries. We hope that through the platform, we can build on the strong momentum and really spur action. Ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, I'd like to express how very honored I am to see the G20 Troika's support. And I want to note that it was Chancellor Merkel who was the first person to discuss this idea with us. I'm also extremely pleased to see Prime Minister Abe here and grateful for his efforts to advance women's economic empowerment, certainly in Japan with Womenomics. And of course, President Macri for wonderful work on the G20 last year. I'm counting on the support of everyone in this room to achieve the economic empowerment of women. This is particularly true for male leaders. This is an issue that is as important for men as it is for women. And we need you all if we want to really achieve success. I'll count on your leadership, your example, and your determination. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Her Majesty. Now, Ms. Trump, advisor to the President of the United States, will make remarks. Please, advisor.
Thank you, Prime Minister Abe, for hosting the G20 summit in the vibrant city of Osaka. And thank you for your steadfast commitment to women's economic empowerment. One of my first international trips as part of the administration was at your invitation to Tokyo to talk about events and issues that we're talking about here this morning. So I'm grateful for your steadfast focus and your leadership on this critical issue. Queen Maxima, congratulations on your bold new initiative. Under your leadership, undoubtedly, the G20 Acceleration Platform will achieve great things, so thank you. It's truly an honor to address so many heads of state who have joined us here today. I applaud the leaders in this room who have pioneered important reforms to elevate one of the most undervalued resources in the world, the talent, the ambition, and the genius of women. We are united by a shared goal. We believe that women's inclusion in the economy is not solely a social justice issue, which of course it is. It's also smart economic and defense policy. As Queen Maxima noted, if women participated in labor markets equally to men, global annual GDP could rise between an estimated $12 trillion or $28 trillion by 2025. Research further has shown that states with higher female participation in the labor force are less likely to use violence or military force to resolve international conflict. This is critical. Underscoring this, more than 80% of the lowest scoring countries in the Index for Gender Discrimination have, in fact, experienced armed conflict in the last 2 decades. Despite this, in more than 100 countries, women still do not have equal rights under the law, including opportunities to work in certain professions, purchase or inherit land, own businesses, or access capital. That is why 2 years ago, at the G20 in Hamburg and at the direction of President Trump, the United States, Japan, Germany, the World Bank, and so many others on this stage launched WeFi. Since then, WeFi has mobilized $2.6 billion, investing in more than 100,000 women-owned businesses. More than half of this capital has gone to women entrepreneurs in fragile nations. Earlier this year, President Trump established WGDP. This is the first ever whole-of-government approach to women's economic empowerment in the United States. Our goal is to reach 50 million women in the developing world by 2025, and we will meet it. WGDP focuses on 3 pillars: vocational education for women, empowering women to succeed as entrepreneurs with initiatives like WeFi, and eliminating the legal and cultural barriers that prevent women from fully and freely participating in their local economies. Over the last several decades, the countries represented here today have made significant progress to recognize women's rights and economic potential. Back at home, President Trump has reduced taxes on working families, increased access to quality childcare, prioritized the first ever nationwide plan for paid family leave, and increased capital to women entrepreneurs. As a result, in the United States, the women's unemployment rate is at the lowest level in 65 years, and in the past 2.5 years, over 60% of all new jobs created in America were secured by women. But every nation, including the United States, can and should do more. We must continue to prioritize women's economic empowerment and place it at the very heart of the G20 agenda. If we propose bold solutions and challenge the limits of the past, we will empower women to lift their families out of poverty, to grow the economies in their countries, and to deliver greater peace and prosperity to millions around the world. This is a legacy worth fighting for, and a future we can be proud to leave to our children. The United States looks forward to working with all of those here today, including Saudi Arabia, which will be hosting the next G20 presidency, to advance these important and critical goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we will have a photo session. Leaders on the stage, please stand up. And the representative of international organization and stakeholders sitting front row, please follow the guide of the staff. Please stand up and come up to the stage. Everybody, please move a little to the center. Please look at the camera, please. Everybody, please look at the camera, please. Photos okay? Everybody smile. Well, thank you very much. Now we are closing the leader special event.